Welcome back to my Steam Deck testing series. This week we're taking a look at the 2013 reboot of Tomb Raider. Now I did think about going into the PS2, PS3 trilogy as well with Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld, but those are pretty much a given to have 60 FPS on maximum settings. As we will soon see, the newer games do require a little bit of tinkering. Now to begin, Tomb Raider is a reboot of the adventures of Lara Croft after Square Enix acquired Eidos Interactive back in 2009. It's still the same type of platformer, third-person shooter puzzle game that the old games were, but in a much more survival and Uncharted fashion. And this game has what I think is the best design for Lara Croft. I wasn't a huge fan of Rise and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, kind of giving her baby face syndrome. But let's dive into performance. There's a lot going on in this game, from all the QuickTime events to what's around in the environments, but we can get some great results here. Now if you want to go for 60 FPS, I tinkered around with a lot and you'll have to go around the medium-low range settings depending on the situation. By default, the medium preset will stick around 60 a lot, but regularly dip down in the 50 to 55 range and on rare occasions down to 48. This is pretty good in its own right, but if you want consistency, you can turn off shadows and shadow quality along with SSAO, and that'll shoot it up to 59 to 60 instead of 48 to 60. Now I did attempt to mess around with high settings here, trying to get it as good looking as possible, but nothing I changed could keep it at 60 without any drops into the 50s. The best I got was high with shadows and SSAO off, and it still went down to 50 pretty often. Though it is also worth noting that with those medium settings we had, there were some situations in the more open areas where it would occasionally drop down to 50 and a few below it. In those situations I had to drop it down to low settings to keep it up high. And once again, this is only if you want straight 60 FPS with no variation whatsoever. To be perfectly honest, the variation on those medium settings down to 50 I wouldn't have even noticed if I didn't have the FPS counter turned on. But if you don't care about 60 FPS and want to go for 30, you can get a lot better. As soon as I toggled the Steam Deck's 30 FPS lock, I shot straight up to ultra settings. On its own, without any tweaking, that gave me a range of 28 to 30 with occasional drops down to 25. But turn off shadows and SSAO and you get 30 with no drops at all. It looks great and plays great. Now let's talk about battery life, which is not that different than last week. If you're going for that 60 FPS area on medium settings, you're going to get about an hour and 45 minutes on maximum brightness and a little under 2 hours on lower brightness. And of course you'll get a bit more with the 30 FPS lock, with maximum brightness getting you about 2.5 hours and lower brightness about 2 hours and 12 minutes. Now with all of this in mind, would I recommend Tomb Raider 2013 for a Steam Deck user? Absolutely. I am a little biased because it's really my favorite game of the entire franchise. And that's saying a lot considering I have replayed Legend and Anniversary dozens of times across both PC and PlayStation Portable. But you can get performance to really nice levels, whether that is the 59 to 60 FPS on medium settings or dropping everything down to 30 on ultra settings. And that's all I got for you today. I'll be back next week with another game, not sure what I'm going to do yet. But until then, thank you for watching and have a great day.